I would like to share a recent experience at work that I think portrays how many treat God. I know I did the same during many seasons of my life. This is a lesson wrapped in a long, and somewhat boring story. But if you like metaphorical representations, this is for you. I run a handyman business. My personality bleeds into my operations. I think people describe it these days as neurodivergent, ADHD, bipolar, with a sprinkle of OCD, INFJ, Leo, whatever. I don't see any of these as types of labels as any type of handicap anymore, because I've learned how to tool these traits to work in my favor, manage and control them. I like to think of them as superpowers now. But most don't understand how I operate, and because of that, they often don't believe I am working in their best interests, because they cannot see the behind the scenes. They are simply trapped in their own little bubble of thoughts, worries, concerns, memories, and prophecies. And no matter how much I attempt to explain and show the reality of any given situation, it barely chips the wall of their perception and programming. I know it's unfashionable to use myself as an example for explaining how I understand God, but using my personal experience is the best way I know how. I'm in the middle of doing a job in a 2-bed, 2-bath condo. It's a nice building in a nice neighborhood. The client is an elderly woman. These types of clients generally love working with me because I take the time to explain everything. I have a lot of experience and advice to give when they don't know what to do, and when the anxious phase of the project kicks in, I'm good at calming their swirls of worries, usually by re-explaining everything we had already gone over a few times already. Yes, most people start tripping out towards the end of a project, even though everything is going totally according to plan. The plan they chose. Remember, I'm syncing life experience as a metaphor here, read between the lines. So, people will tell me the goal, I provide all the options, they agree to a price, and then I start putting everything into action. They often have no idea what's going on or how any of it works, but they always have something to say and want more. Believe me, in my line of work, you need to be 10 steps ahead. I worked on this lady's condo about 9 months prior. She was selling the place, moving out and into an old folks' home. There were just a few minor repairs that she wanted at the time, but as I looked around, I could tell it needed a lot more work, specifically paint and carpet. Her and her daughter declined because their agent told them they didn't need it, and that she was going to get them, top dollar, for the poor aesthetic condition it was in. 9 months later I got a call back because the place wasn't selling and her new real estate agent says it needs new paint and carpet. I am in the middle of 2 other jobs, but I already knew her situation, that it was time sensitive, so let's get it done, right? Now I always tell people I estimate the cost a little high, for me, not a bigger company, I always come in lower than the companies. And I tell them that if everything goes smoothly, I charge less than my estimate in the end. They think I am talking about the actual labor. I am not. I am talking about them, how much they are going to change, add on, and regurgitate advice from others who don't know what they are talking about. Read between the lines. So, everything is all fine and dandy, and then I meet the new real estate agent. And she is a typical one. And we go over the work order and try to brainstorm what to do about the client's ancient bathroom decor. She seemed to have this vision of a total bathroom remodel with just a little paint and 2 new mirrors in a room that still had a 1970 build. She wanted to paint this dark stained wood vanity white. I advised that that would be a horrible move, and if I do it, every old decor defect would be amplified. Then the agent begins to question my pricing. Which is none of her business, but I don't mind because I know my pricing is honest and fair. Nobody said I was cheap. She also asked how my client found me. Well, she basically hunted me down after seeing the work I had done in another unit, and how I operated with her months prior. Remember, read between the lines. The agent goes to the client and begins to tell her she has workers that will do it for way less. This instilled some doubt in the route she had already set out on with me. It took some re-explaining, but the client came back around. But when I did explain, I had to add that she didn't hire me just to paint a coat or do some carpet. I was also hired to make judgment calls, counter illogical advice from a third party, organize and time the entire situation. If the agent cared to bid the project herself, what would have happened was that her workers would have done exactly as asked. They would have applied one full coat of paint with no prep and left. The next day that paint would have sucked into the wall, like it did me, even with good prep, looked horrible, and they would have needed to schedule another coat quick. They would have picked the cheapest carpet possible and the buyers would feel the cheapness with their feet. They would have used the wrong colors in the bathroom that did it no justice, and just acquire headaches all around. Here's is what neither the client nor the agent knew that I knew. My goal is their goal, but it's not the goal they think. They think my goal is to just do one coat of paint, remove and install 2 bedrooms of carpet, for the cheapest cost possible. That is not the goal. Their real goal is to sell the property for a good price in a short amount of time with the least number of headaches. That's where I come in. For these projects, I am like an 4-drip loaded with aspirin. And here's why. I knew the paint was going to require more than one coat, because of the condition of the paint job. I knew an agent was involved and wouldn't truly listen to anyone. I knew that no matter what price, high or low, I put on the project, they will ask for more than agreed upon. I knew that I needed to make design decisions because it was clear they were clueless, and that they would most likely have some complaints about the decisions they did not want to make. I knew how manipulative the agent was when she said that she might want to use me on other projects to get me to drop my cost to gain her work. But she also messed up when she said she is always looking for workers like me. Read between the lines. What that really means is that her workers don't stick around. I knew that the agent was going to try to start a bidding war when the property is listed from how she was pricing the place, but that you can't get that price with subpar work and materials. The walls cannot look like an apartment that was painted over 25 times. The bathroom vanity can't be chipping paint to the touch. That there is electrical work involved in rechaining a light fixture. How to manage the timeline. That the condo was high security, and you needed to be somewhat vetted. And a lot of knowledge that only comes from experience and attention to what everyone is saying. Working with God is expensive. It costs you some old beliefs. It costs you some ego. To achieve a goal, you'll need to hand these over and basically trust a stranger. When God is working in your life, there is a lot of behind the scenes going on that we don't fully understand. So, let's not complain about the process that is required for the change we wish to make in our life.